salt has been used on Wisconsin roads for many decades, and we think of it as a public safety measure, and it certainly is. I mean, ice is very dangerous to drive on in the winter, but we have a legacy of just over-salting. So we use much more salt than is necessary for public safety. And so we need to find sort of a better middle ground where we can maintain public safety and yet protect our environment. So I think it's pretty good to think of salt as a pollutant. You know, we're putting it down into the terrestrial environment and we're not picking any of that up. All the salt that we lay down roads is going to end up in soils and eventually in our freshwaters. So it's going to run off into the nearest river, stream, lake, and just pass through the watershed.
We've been running a road salt monitoring program now since about 2010. And so we essentially use community volunteers that go out and test the in-stream water quality of many of our rivers. We have about 500 miles of perennial river in the Milwaukee River Basin. So that's rivers that are essentially running all the time. And we've found through our research that about 108 miles of those rivers are impaired for chloride. So that's about 1 in 5 of our rivers and streams that have levels of salt that we think are threatening life and water quality.
So when we think about salt as a pollutant, we have to remember that it's going to end up polluting our drinking water. So across the state, we get drinking water from different sources. Some areas get drinking water from groundwater, some areas get drinking water from surface water. And salt is polluting all of those available resources. So across the state of Wisconsin, we see occurrences of shallow groundwater wells being polluted by road salt, especially if they're located right near, say, interstates. In Madison, Wisconsin, we see some of our groundwater wells increasing in salinity. And it's very difficult and extremely expensive to remove salt from water. And we've always underestimated the value of fresh water for drinking. We think of ourselves as a state that has a lot of freshwater resources, and we do. But to have those retain their value, inherently they need to stay fresh. And so we can't let salt pollute our drinking water resources, or else we're going to be in major trouble in the future.